Welcome to the Spirit of Business podcast. I am Jamie Pritchard, your host, where we help business owners learn to thrive. And today I have with me Randi Goodman. Randi Goodman is a personal and professional growth advisor, and she has a great specialty in producing conferences and trade shows. I personally have been at several of those. Randi is an authentic realtor, truly loves to help her clients, and is an 8-time #1 international best-selling author who has helped almost 200 other people do the same thing. Randi works from integrity and loves what she calls the mental income, which is giving to others that it gives to her. Welcome, Randi. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Jamie, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here on your podcast, and whatever I can do to support you, I'm happy to be there.
That's fantastic. Obviously, you've always been a very giving person in my experience in dealing with you. So for our audience, you've been an entrepreneur. I think you're a serial entrepreneur. I don't know a whole lot about your background. Maybe you could share with us your entrepreneurial journey and how you've ended up where you are today.
I'd love to. Thank you. It's I think when anybody looks back on their life and, what they thought they would be when they were younger and what they studied in school, and they look and go, oh my goodness, it's like, I'm not doing any of that. And a lot of people are, and that's great. But for those of us that aren't, you laugh at it, right? But I loved math and science in school, loved it. And it ended up being a completely different language when I went to university. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I actually thought I would get into pharmacy, but I didn't. And so my father, who's a CA, said, you love math. Why don't you try an accounting course? Just see if you like it, right? So I did that. I took one accounting course and a whole whack of psychology courses.
That's a bit odd for somebody with an affinity to math and sciences.
Well, I took math and sciences the first year. So the second year, I did a shift and was like, okay, that's not working for me. So what will work for me? So, I took his suggestion. So I ended up getting into accounting. I ended up liking it and getting into it, and became a 4th level CMA, which means I didn't finish. There were 3 more credits, but by the time you would have had to get your license, they changed all these rules, and there was no way, and I would forget it. I couldn't get through tax. And sorry, all you people out there who love tax, I'd fall asleep halfway through a page, and I just couldn't get through. Couldn't get through the book. So I didn't do well in tax, which means there's no way I was going to finish on time. So I had to accept that and move on. So I ended up running a mattress manufacturing company, and absolutely loved it. I was 22 years old in my 4-inch heels and teeny weeny little mini skirts and hilarious, right? And anyway, I loved it. And I'm the kind who just jumps in with 2 feet. Don't give me the textbook, just throw me in there and let me learn hands-on. And, and that's what I did. And I just loved it. Loved business, loved every single thing about it. The person before me was stealing. They wanted to figure out how. And so it was even more exciting than just taking over a business. Okay, let me tell you.
You were kind of a private investigator, too.
Yeah, exactly. It was so much fun. You have no idea. Driving over lawns in a cube van with the police. It was hilarious. So anyway, loved it. It was an awesome time. And then I decided that I would stay home and raise my children. So I stayed home for like 15 years, and I kept a couple side businesses because I want to keep my brain going. And I also did years and years of charity galas in that time. I was part of 3 different school councils and chaired, and, very involved in the community. I got my 2nd degree black belt during that time. So I wasn't like one of those people sitting at home eating bonbons and watching TV on the couch, right?
So, Randi, what were the side businesses that kind of kept
you don't want to know. I'm not.
Okay.
No,
okay.
you don't want to know. So but they didn't make any money, so it really doesn't matter. It was really for my brain.
So you were involved. You did things to keep you stimulated, and you were very involved in your children's life and the community. Great.
So I have 4 amazing boys, and they're like 4 and 4.5 years, so they're really close.
There is a place in heaven for a mother of 4 boys. I have to tell you.
Thank you.
It's secured for you already, Randy.
Yeah, no, they're amazing. They're all adults now, but it was definitely a trying time, but also keeping myself busy and keeping myself active and giving back to the community. So that was really important to me. It always has been. So just doing a lot of that. And then I found myself separated like 12 years ago. It was like, okay, now what am I going to do? I don't want to be a bookkeeper. I don't, no offense to all you accountants, I love you. And I'm happy to give you my stuff. Here, you go do it. But I don't want to do it anymore. And it was like,
me too. I have a bit of affinity for the financial stuff, but it's the least rewarding part of my business. So thank God for the professionals that can look after that.
Well, it was so time consuming. So
Yes.
It was like a few years ago, it was like, I need to make an executive decision here to stop doing this myself, because it's taking away from the things that I want to do, right? Although they have to be done. So it takes away from that, saying, you know what, I'm going to hire somebody else to do it. And I'm happier than anything that I did.
Always a good decision. So Randy, 12 years ago, you were in a very difficult situation, separation, and you were faced with some tough decisions. What did you decide?
Yeah. So I actually tried some network marketing and didn't have the right support, and I didn't do well, right? And I just found that network marketers don't start coming after me because I'm not there.
Hey, listen, I've done my share of network marketing, and I'm sorry, I just don't have the mindset for it. I don't know what it is. I haven't got. I know what I know about network marketing is I'm not the guy. I
feel the same way. I'm not the girl, right? But all the power to you guys out there. Like, I love you. I don't have anything against network marketing. It's just, it's not something I personally want to spend my time doing. I'm so passionate about what I am doing. And trust me, I've tried a lot of different network marketing companies, and I'm definitely not bashing them. That's for sure. It's an amazing business for people, and people can be extremely successful, just not me.
So network marketing wasn't it. So
but through that, what I did get out of it, the amazing things I did get, even though I didn't actually make money from network marketing, I did learn how to network properly. I built a list, like a database. I built an online following. Like, so many good things came out of that network marketing experience, just no money. So, but I learned so many things, and it had me going and learning digital marketing and all kinds of amazing, it gave me such an incredible foundation that, I will never, ever regret what I did in those experiences.
What I find fascinating, Randy, when I talk to people, and one thing that just came up for me is, in the midst of what could have been an incredible failure for you, you found a lot of gold from that.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And so you've learned all of these techniques. You've got a huge database of people. You understand how to connect to people. What did you do?
So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So I ended up meeting someone who was doing these little teeny tiny trade shows. And I was like, oh, this is a fun idea, right? Because I love events. Like, I did all those galas, and we did all kinds of personal events, like zillions of them, right? And I love them. So it was like, these are fun and I love business. So it was amazing that you get to merge these two things together, do business and events at the same time. And I didn't want to work for somebody, right? I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. So
Right.
I started to do these little trade shows and then decided to take it out on my own. I actually worked with a couple of different friends doing some events, and they didn't really make any money. Like, we didn't figure out how to monetize them really. They basically paid for the costs, right?
Yep.
But then it was like, and then I met a lady through my connections who we decided we would do a Toronto Women's Expo together. So in 2011, we did the first Toronto Women's Expo together. She became a really, really good friend of mine. We're still really good friends today. But after the first one, she had all kinds of things going on in the background where she wasn't able to continue. But she would still come to my events and work registration and, you know, support me that way. And she was doing some health events at the time, so I'd go and support her as well. And we're still friends today. And, you know, it's amazing because I said to her, I want to continue this. I really love it. You know, is it okay with you? So yes, she was totally fine. So I incorporated and, you know, the whole thing, and then carried on doing the Toronto Women's Expo. So we were supposed to celebrate the 10th anniversary in March. Got shut down like 10 days before because of COVID. So still waiting. And, but in the meantime, if, you know, quite a few years ago, I ended up taking on a partner for a few years. So we were together a few years, and then we amicably split because he wanted to go one way and I wanted to go a different way. So, but in that time, he introduced to me, you know, he came to one of our first events we were doing, Business Wealth Summit, and he plunked this frame on the table in front of me that had a picture of the very first book that we did. And he said, "This is our next project." And I went, "Okay." Now, remember, I am a math and science student. I am not an English student, okay? English subjects were really difficult for me. I did well, but I busted my butt to do well, right?
And I would expect that your propensity is analyzing, and you know, that would be your natural instinct, is to get to the nitty gritty and the details. And sometimes in English, it's very gray.
That's probably why I didn't go into accounting and stuff, because I don't want to spend time analyzing in detail.
Oh, okay. So you know, the black and white didn't appeal to you. There is this little piece of you that likes the gray, and obviously you mentioned, you know, the giving and helping others, and that's really what you've focused on.
Definitely.
So your partner said this is the next. That this is our next project. We're going to work on a book.
Yeah. So in addition to everything we were already doing, so it wasn't like we're going to shift and go do this instead of that. It's like, let's try this. So I was like, okay, cool. So it ended up being a compilation where people would pay to have a chapter in the book. And the first one went really well. And we actually never thought beyond the point of the first book initially, right? And that was like, wow, people really love this concept. And then we'd make an event out of it and all kinds of stuff. And then it was like, okay, let's do the second one. And then let's do the third one and the fourth one and the fifth one. And then I added in doing a short story one, which took way too long to publish. And I decided I'll never do that one again because it was just so much work to put it together. But then a friend of mine asked me to help him with his book. So we're actually in the midst of trying to launch that right now. And so after I left my partner, it was like, okay, I'm just going to keep going with Toronto Women's Expo. I did a couple wealth summits with a friend of mine. And in that time, you know, I'd say over like 25 years or so, people were always saying to me, you should get your real estate license. You should get your real estate license. Oh, yeah, whatever, poo-poo, right? And
well, you're having a lot of fun, and you, I mean, where you've gone from, you've got very successful. You fine-tuned the expos, the events. You were doing some great events. I've been to 2 or 3 of your launches on the international best-selling books, and they've always been fantastic events. And the people that have contributed have incredible stories. And you brought all that together, and that never would have happened had you not done anything about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So,
Yeah.
and I love that I was able to help these people achieve a dream of their own, right?
Right.
And I've been investing in real estate for over 30 years. So that part wasn't new to me, right?
Okay.
But being, helping others was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, I don't mean helping others in that sense. I mean helping them as far as real estate goes, right? And I always thought like, oh, I'm doing events and I love it and I don't want to take away from this and that. And then something a friend said to me a few years ago just kind of clicked, and it was like, okay, now's the time, right?
What was that they said? What was the tipping
You know what?
point
I
for you?
honestly don't remember exactly what he said to me. And
So, but okay, whatever they said, but I'm always interested because we're both in industries that are very volatile, things that we have very little control over. And what intrigues me about you, Randy, is you are in an event where you had you were in a career where you really have some semblance of control. You had a process, you had a way to make money. And now you're thinking of getting into real estate. What were you thinking?
I was thinking I need to make money, right? So
Right.
I need to make money. I need to have a better money stream. And
Right. Okay.
I, maybe now's the time. And I don't know, partly it could have been that the rules were changing, that the school was going to get, the educational part was going to change and go to Humber instead of Oria. And, I don't know, it was a combination of everything at the moment. And, I
But
just,
when you made that decision, so here's what I'd like to know. Because I'm always intrigued when you're looking for another stream of income. Some people, I call burn the ships. So that you're familiar with that expression, an ancient warrior. I think it was a Greek story that took it. We're going to invade an island. And once they got on the island, he told everybody, burn the ships, which basically is a mindset that we're going to win this island or we're not going home. So did you burn your ship, or was it more of a gradual, you know what, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to keep my hand over here. How was that for you?
Well, I was still doing the books. I was still doing the events.
Right.
And I was going to school. And 2 weeks after I enrolled, my youngest son said, I want to get my license too. So he he joined me, and we went to school together, which was awesome.
Oh, isn't that great?
Yeah, that was great. So we had a good time with that. And so he got his license, I got my license, and I took all the broker courses and everything. So I just went like full tilt to take everything. And I'll be in it a couple years soon. And and I just love it. Like, honestly, I absolutely love it. Should I have done it before? I believe that everything happens when it's supposed to happen, right? And this is when it was supposed to happen for me. So, I always thought, when I was in the mattress industry, I said, why do I keep my Rolodex? Why do I keep all these contacts and all these business cards? I had a drawer full of contacts that I wouldn't use. And I was like, I don't know why I keep these or why I kept them. And then all of a sudden I'm going into the conference business, and it's like, that's why I kept them. And I'm not a hoarder, and I'm not a pack rat, and I don't keep stuff. But for whatever reason, I keep paperwork, and I keep, I keep all my accounting stuff. Well, it's the accountant in me, right? But, it was like, why did I keep all this stuff? Okay, that's the reason I kept all this stuff, because here was a basis. So when I was starting with the network marketing, I had like 400 different cards that I had kept. And remember, I was home for 15 years. So these are really
You had plenty
old.
of time to call these people.
These are really old. So,
Yeah.
I used that and contacted every single contact I ever kept. And,
Right.
So it's like, there's always a reason that you're doing something, right?
That's really interesting because I find there are things when I talk to people like what you just talked about is it's almost as if there's a part of you that knows that you need it deep down that there's some reason in the future. So and that gets us into the talk of spirit. So do you believe that was just that happened because out of accident, or there was some bigger reason for that?
No, there was definitely a bigger reason. I just didn't know what it was at the time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, there's always a reason you do something, unless you have a mental illness and you're doing it for that reason, right? But and I guess we all have a mental illness at some level, but, right? Well, nobody's perfect. We all have flaws.
We're all a bit crazy.
We all have shtick, right? So, but you know what I'm trying to
exactly
the difference between the two. But I'm not a hoarder and I'm not all that stuff. So clearly I kept it for some reason. I just didn't know at the time. I don't know, maybe the universe knew. I didn't know. But I definitely had a reason to keep this stuff. So
Randy, a couple of questions for our listeners. You've been on quite a journey where you've dabbled in, not dabbled. You've done more than dabble. Sorry, that's a poor choice of words. Where you have committed to a life as an entrepreneur. If you were starting over and were giving advice to somebody that was getting into it, what one thing might you tell them?
To get into being an entrepreneur, don't listen to other people. Period.
Okay.
Unless they're your mentors or people who are extremely successful in what you want to do, definitely listen to them.
Okay.
But don't listen to all the naysayers who say,
like family members and people
could be anybody, right? Anybody. But the people are telling you that will never work, and they're putting your idea down, or they're saying, how are you going to make money from that, or whatever. I'm telling you, go and find the people who are successful in the industry you want to be in and learn as much as you can from them, whether you have to hire them, whether they'll mentor you, whatever, take their course, whatever it is. Get into their space and learn from them, because that is the fastest way you're going to avoid all the mistakes that you will make and that you could make. You're still going to make mistakes, and there's nothing wrong with it. I believe you need to make mistakes and fails, whatever word you want to use, in order to learn from those experiences. And I think you need to have your own experiences, but you can severely diminish some dumb ones or time-wasting ones by learning from somebody who is an expert, who's been there, done that, who can help you avoid some of these things. You still have to make some of your own mistakes, but at least you'll have the right advice, as opposed to you trying to figure it out and spending I don't know how many hours trying to do it.
Right. Googling it and how to be a great entrepreneur.
Just find the right people and surround yourself by those people, right? And obviously people that lift you up. So for you, Randy,
who were the 2 or 3 people that were influential in your career, in mentoring you and helping you through it?
You know what? My father was a really huge influence on me and mentor. I really looked up to him. He's an amazing friend. He always took the time to explain things to me. He came from the corporate world, so he was a CA. He was uh, um, a senior financial officer for one of the largest insurance companies in the world, and he left the business to come and run a family business after my grandfather passed away. And so I think he always had that entrepreneurial spirit, but he got to use the education that he had to build the businesses and do what he wanted. And he ended up consulting in his life and stuff, but he, like, no matter what the topic was, didn't matter how old I was, always spent the time explaining things to me, teaching me things,
Right.
really just being a solid backbone, really, for me. And I grew up with separated parents. Like, my parents weren't together. They separated when I was 6. So I really grew up with them separate. So to have, I always saw him as an anchor, somebody that I could talk rationally and logically to.
Right.
And the other parent was the emotional one. Right. So it was nice to have, nothing wrong with either one, but it was nice to have somebody that I could learn from. And I mean, you learn from everybody, so don't take that the wrong way.
So he was obviously a big influence and helped take the time to, which is not always a thing that a lot of us get from our parents.
Exactly. And then I've had hired coaches who've made an impact on me. Like, the first one I ever hired for business was, and you should have one for everything in your life, but the first one I ever hired for business taught me how to say no. So
that is a good lesson. I wish I learned that. I wish I learned that. So tell me more about that.
It's a hard one, Jamie. That is a difficult one, because I'm such a giver naturally and wanting to help people. And I would say yes to everything, I guess. So it was really, and then in business, you really have to look at this. Like, it's great when you have friends and you want to help them and all that stuff. But then you look at your business and it's like, wait a minute, I can't keep saying yes to everything. I can't keep squirreling. I can't be chasing those shiny objects. I can't be doing things that don't serve the purpose of the direction that I want to go. And
so what was the biggest lesson you learned from being able to say no? What did that do for you?
Well, when you say yes to everything, you are taking time away from your business and making money in your business and building it properly. So learning to say no, like, I had somebody asking me to do an event, and I have so much respect for this person, love this person. I knew him for years. It was in a different industry than mine, still doing events, but a different industry. So it's something I would have to research and learn and spend a lot of time on. And then when I put the numbers together, it was like, we weren't going to make any money, right? It was going to be a lot of effort to learn and to do. And events are no easy thing, let me tell you, right? Very time consuming, they cost money, and I don't think people realize how much work actually goes into putting events together, but for those that do events, but or people who appreciate, what happens in business, but it's so much work. And I was like, if I do this and I'm not making any money, then I can't do this in my business that I do want to be building. And I'm telling you, my stomach was like, my heart,
that decision.
stomach, my everything. But I knew this was the logical, rational thing to do. And I got on the phone with him. And the first thing I said is, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. And I said,
did you find a sense of relief after you made that decision?
I did. I did, because he was so accepting of my answer, right? He was so understanding and accepting. And he said, and I obviously said, like, we always supported each other in our businesses. And I said, I will always be there to support you. I will help you promote whatever, I'll share it. anything I can do to help you, I just can't partner with you on it. And I'm sorry, because I love you and I want to support you in every way I can, but just doesn't make business sense to do it for me. And it's not my passion, right? That industry wasn't my passion. So, he said, Randy, I totally understand, no problem. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I'll support you too. And I've been there for him, and I've, promoted him, and I've gone to his events, and I've, I just cannot help him produce them. And I'll be there as an advisor if he wanted, or,
Right.
call me anytime kind of thing, but I just can't be part of producing the event. And after that, it was like, okay, that was so painful to do, but it was the right decision for me, right?
Yeah.
So then afterwards, it started, it's still, nothing ever hurt me that way, right? To say no.
Right.
It never hurt me as much as that one did.
But it is so hard. It's, when you're
not
a person,
easy.
like, what if they hate me? What if they, all the crazy nonsense that goes on.
Well, I think when you're doing things in a respectful way and you're dealing with the right people, then nobody's going to take it that way. They're going to understand. You will encounter people who will get mad at you or whatever, and there's nothing you can do about that. And you just have to thank them and, wish them well and let them go. Right? Like if you hold that stuff in, you're just going to have health issues, right? You don't need that.
Yeah.
So
Randy, last couple of questions. If you were in my shoes, what one question would you ask yourself that I haven't?
Of me?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I know. So if you were interviewing you.
If I was interviewing me, what would I say? What would I ask?
What question might you ask that I haven't asked?
I don't know. I don't have a question.
Okay.
I just love the conversations, and I think you're awesome in the way that you're asking questions, because we're having a conversation. This is my favorite part, just having a conversation. Whatever comes up. And
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes
well, thank you.
Really
thank you for that, because I enjoy that. So last question then, what does the spirit of business mean to you?
What does the spirit of business? It means that you're really loving what you do. You're passionate about what you do. You're passionate about helping others with what they do, even if it has nothing to do with what you do. That you love to give. You love the mental income that you get from, which to me means that I get pleasure out of helping other people, or I get pleasure out of finding out that something I did had an impact on someone. So I don't do it for that reason, but it gives me mental income to know that I made an impact. So
So maybe one more question, because I did say I wanted to. So mental income. What do you? Can you just talk to that for a couple of minutes on what that is for you?
So it's a term that I phrased many, many years ago, because I feel really, really good when I help somebody. And you're not doing it because you're looking, people go running. They run, why? Because it builds those endorphins in their body and they get a natural high from it. Why does somebody go and volunteer? Because it makes them feel good that they're giving back. They know they're helping somebody else. Why do people go to the gym? Why do they eat healthy? Why do they, you get something out of it besides maybe a physical effect.
Right.
You get a mental effect from doing these good things. When you help somebody on the street, when you help a charity, when you give money, when you volunteer your time, when you work at the food bank, whatever it is, when you put, gala for fundraising together for some charity, it makes you feel good to see that you've accomplished something. You've engaged other people in coming along on the ride with you. And it just makes you feel good. It just gives you this amazing feeling of like, wow, I accomplished something. My life means something. Whatever it is for you, that, whatever your thought is in your head that goes on when
Yeah.
you do something really good for other people and you don't expect or get anything in return.
And that's the one thing that I was just going to say from what you were saying. Everything you were talking about was an internal feeling. It wasn't about somebody coming up to you and saying, "Hey, Randy, you did awesome," and it's something external coming to you, but sitting back and taking a look at what you've accomplished and absorbing that in. Or somebody may come up to you and say, "You know what, you really made a difference in my life."
Mm-hmm.
And you weren't fishing for that. You weren't expecting that. Somebody does that because of all the work that you've done and that you've helped. So on that note, Randy, I want to thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy day to share with our listeners at this the name of my the spirit of business. We'll edit that. The spirit of thank you for participating in the spirit of business and our listeners. And I wish you very well. And I will definitely be following your work. And I look forward to speaking to you again.